Hello everyone, welcome back to the Everyone Can Try podcast. We are super excited to be back. We know we've kept you waiting, but honestly, it's worth the wait. We are back with an exciting episode joined by Jonny, COO of Nirvana Europe. Today we're going to be having Jonny, Andy interviewing Jonny with loads of questions regarding travel.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining us. This whole Jonny and Jonny might start to get a little bit confusing, but we'll bear with it. Hopefully you can tell the difference between the accents. Both Northerners, but a Yorkshire Northeast accent. But I guess a bit of context to this. Well, firstly, thank you as well from you guys. I've been working with Nirvana Europe throughout my whole career. A lot of you guys on this might know them as the orange T-shirt guys, the guys that you see at all races around the world, who they've helped out with my travel around the world and saved me many times. So we'll come on to that more later. But I guess we'll start off with Jonny question. When and why did Nirvana Europe actually start, and what do you do, I guess?
Yeah, no, you're right. Thanks, John. We'll probably have to kind of come up with some kind of code words on who's John and who's Jonny and Jonathan. And so we've been in business since 1999. I actually just was going through it with one of our new recruits this morning. We started in 1999 when our owner and chairman Ken, who's still within the business, he's semi-retired now. He was the former chief executive Northumberland County Council. He worked a lot with a brand called the Great Run Company, who manage the Great North Run. And Ken had a really great relationship with Sir Brendan Foster, and they wanted to have a collaboration in terms of working closely with travel accommodation logistics. And Ken said that he would start supporting with exactly that, supporting those travel accommodation logistical elements for the Great North Run. So we started that in 1999. Within the next few years, we very quickly became well established in terms of accommodation, travel and logistics, and fell into the world of triathlon. And in 2002, we had our partnership with British Triathlon, and we've been partners with them ever since. So between 2002 and 2025, we've been heavily involved in the world of triathlon, and that's then come on to partnerships with the Ironman brand, which we've been involved with since 2005, and we're now their global partner, managing all of their travel accommodation, logistics, and athlete experiences across all of the Ironman events. World Triathlon, so we've been heavily involved in World Triathlon for quite some time now, and we're their travel partner and manage a lot of the WTS events, as well as the World Champs Grand Final and Multisport Champs, European Triathlon. And then that's also, in terms of our relationships with British Triathlon, has led into other triathlon federations, so USA Triathlon, Triathlon Australia, Triathlon Canada, French Triathlon. We know we work a lot with the Spanish Federation, just to make sure those athletes have got the ease of travel and experiences that they want at major events. And then outside of the world of triathlon, we've diversified in terms of lots of different sports. So we do obstacle course racing, we do squash. We're PSA Squash's global travel partner. We've done football. We do a lot of para sports. So this last year we've done para badminton, wheelchair fencing, and a lot of those kind of niche para sports that we've become really well established within. So yeah, we're 26 years old this year and still going strong. And we've grown from this small Northeast company into a global operation now, which often causes headaches, but it's great. It's really good that we've got this worldwide approach to everything that we deliver now.
Yeah, I guess the obvious one, I know you did your first triathlon in June 2024, was it? Am I right saying that?
It was, yes.
Yeah, so you've done one yourself, but I guess why so much in triathlon? Because you guys literally do dominate the travel world of triathlon. Is it because it's a complicated sport? There's a lot to manage. Why triathlon?
I think you're right there in terms of that, those challenges, and very well, it's not the easiest sport to travel in. You've got those logistical elements like your bicycle that you've got to get from A to B. if you compare it to the likes of an athletics event, you can travel very easily with your backpack and stay in a hotel, and you don't need as much as that on-ground support. Or the way that we've grown in the world of triathlon is really to allow athletes to travel as stress-free as possible. So, from that, leaving your home right the way through to getting to the event, and even on event, and having those on-site touch points, and having that friendly face to make sure that we're at the airport, and we're going to make sure that you and your bicycle can fit into the vehicle and it's going to get to the event site. And then even when we think about some of our more recent products, which incorporate our IMAT Experience product or our T100 Race Like a Pro product, it's given those athletes that added value, that experience that they at the event, that adds in something more than just participating. So I think you're right. I think, the logistical elements of triathlon definitely add into it. There's some challenges with the bicycle box, and the modern bicycle boxes are even bigger than ever before. Having brought one back from Sydney, from Wollongong a few weeks ago, they're definitely getting bigger. So it's just, that's some of those stress elements that we take away from it. So definitely there's that bit of it there. And then again, in the para sports, John, you'll have travelled all over the world with the para team.
Yeah,
the equipment that they take
is a lot more kit than I have. It's incredible. The worst thing to do, I've arrived at the airport a few times with them guys, and to put it this way, without being rude, I try and get in front of them. It comes to check-in. But
I think you're right. Getting in front of them at check-in, so there's definitely space on the plane is a good way to do it. But you're right. That those guys travel with a huge amount of kit, and obviously, the support that we've been able to deliver to the para team globally since they came to within the sport of British triathlon, that's really been something that we've been really proud of. To help those athletes travel around the world is really, really good. So the logistical elements has definitely been some of the reason why we've grown so heavily within that sport.
Oh, no, great. Like I say, triathlon's a really complicated sport as it is. So to have someone who's been through all these experiences before and can preempt all the things that you will come across has always really helped me. So you don't get to the airport and find out that Portugal won't take bikes, or this won't happen. Someone has done that. It takes out all the stress. So you can concentrate on racing, because it's stressful enough packing a bike, getting all your kit ready and getting out to race. Because I was going to ask my next question, you pretty much answered this, was what are the benefits to BF members, Brownlee Fitness members, booking through Nirvana Europe? But I guess you pretty much answered that.
Yeah, and I think for your members, we've all those athletes that are traveling globally. It's making sure that we're removing some of those elements, some of those touch points. We've personally booked your flights for a long time, and making sure that the bikes booked on the plane are reflect. I don't know whether it's fondly or otherwise back to 2013 when we went to Turkey, to Alanya. And Monarch Airlines managed to book 135 bikes onto a plane that only took 25 bikes. They didn't have a mechanism to count the bicycles that they were booking on. And, we realized a couple of months before the championship, because athletes were sending us transport requests, that there was a good over 100 bikes on a plane that didn't have the capacity. So that's actually when we started doing our overland bike transport service. So because we needed to transport those bikes to Turkey. But going back a step, to make sure those bikes are booked on the plane is really, really important. Then when you when you get to the destination, making sure that the appropriate transport is there is 100% valuable. And then also making sure that it's the right hotel. Is it the right hotel in the right location? Is it the right hotel in terms of, does it offer appropriate athlete-orientated catering? We always do site inspections and recce on our major championships, and I reflect back many moons ago when we did a site inspection on an event, and probably about a year in advance, and by the time we got to the destination, some of those local buildings that were immediately adjacent to it had changed, and one of them was a nightclub. So to have a nightclub next to a hotel that we were operating for a European champs, it was then having that on support site to manage that, to work with the hotel and work with the site next door. So it's just having that extra support mechanism all the way throughout that journey, and that's what we absolutely offer to athletes.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Alex. Thank you very much. And we'll come on to more of my career now and our experience together and my travel shockers. I guess we were touching on it earlier, but I put a post up recently about from Cozumel. So the moment where Alistair carried across the finish line. And you were one of the you were one of the people responsible for getting me home after the race. Obviously, I was a bit of a shell of a person, and I remember you meeting me at the hotel to get me on the ferry to make sure I could actually make it to the airport alive. What are your memories of that time?
I still remember it very vividly. I remember that event very vividly because to this day, it was probably one of my favorite events. I mean, it was a fantastic event up until the moment that you had your incident. I would still put it up there as one of my favorite events. You're right. My memories for you of that event, I was with some of the British Triathlon support teams. So I was with the team mechanic and one of the other staff members on site watching you run past. I've actually got a really nice photograph of you in the lead. You know, the work was done. The world champs was within your grasp, and we were meandering over to the finish line just to watch you come through. And the next thing we heard on Glenn's radio was Johnny's going down. Johnny's going down. So we were a little bit confused, but then sprinted over the finish line to watch everything unfold. Obviously at the finish line, and it was a bit of a unique experience, obviously, for everybody involved, because we hadn't had such an incident like that before. My next touch point on that was that I had to go and collect your bike and Laura from British Triathlon from transition quite late at night, because I think you went straight to hospital and left your bike in transition.
That's a good point. I had absolutely no idea my bike got back.
Well, I'll tell you how it did, because I went and collected it from transition with Laura.
No thought of that.
It was pitch black. We had to go down to transition, and I picked up Laura and some of the team from transition to get your bike there. And then the next day, obviously, I came down to get you. Was it the next day or the day after I came to get you from the hotel? And you just were a little bit worse for wear, I think. And obviously, you're right. We then had to get you up to the ferry, and I was really mindful of that ferry journey, because I think you were still struggling a little bit, and we had to go on the ferry in the day before. Some of those ferry journeys had been really rough. So obviously I escorted you and was kind of shielding you in some regards. I was a little bit like a bouncer that day, where people were asking you questions and people were pestering you with some things, and I just knew you weren't 100% to be able to answer them. But then we got you back home, and then I suppose the rest, as we say, is history, and it became the most watched video on BBC iPlayer for a good few years. And I know we were reflecting on it a few weeks ago, and we caught up and we had dinner. We were talking about some of the potential kind of outcomes of that. Whether there was some real opportunities to go around the world and kind of milk it, or whether you were just going to get back home and focus on training. And it was something that we chatted about a few weeks ago.
Yeah, no, because I remember when we were actually in Cozumel as well, we weren't sure for about 24 hours whether we were going to go to America, to LA, and do some chat shows or fly home. So you were on kind of standby to booking flights. I know you were told to line up some nice business class flights from Cozumel to LA, but we decided to go home anyway.
Yes, exactly.
We went home as it was Richard Vargas' stag do coming up, so wedding, so we couldn't afford to miss that. So. Yeah, and so another shock of mine was flying to Sardinia that time. I remember when you really helped me out. So I was flying to Sardinia for one of the early races in Cagliari, or Cagliari, I don't know how you say it. Quite important race, and I'm normally quite prompt. So we went down the night before with my wifey, and I'm in charge of finding the gate. I remember looking on the board and going, okay, it's gate, whatever, 08. And went on the train in Stansted Airport and got to this place. I looked at the wrong gate, and we were stranded. We couldn't get there. So we actually missed our flight from Stansted to Sardinia. And I was quickly on the phone to Jonny saying, right, you're going to have to help me out here. I'm in big trouble. So you booked me a flight very quickly. He said, can you get yourself to Luton? I was like, well, I think so. Flew from Luton to Pisa. Had a couple of hours in Pisa, and then Pisa to Sardinia. So you helped me out then. So I think that was probably a very stressful morning that you didn't need.
I think I remember when you texted me that morning, and it was like one of those things that in your 15 years of traveling around the world in a professional capacity, you'd never missed a flight. And I think we both had a little bit of a chuckle to ourselves in some regard, but it was also like, oh crap, we physically need to make some decisions on this. And I was sat, it was quite early. I'm an early bird, I'm an early riser, so I'm pleased you got a hold of me early. But I was sat having a cup of coffee on my laptop, just trying to look at options and look at routings. And I would kind of followed you the whole day. Obviously we're just staying in touch, and you managed to go for a nice little run in Pisa, didn't you? You sent me some little selfies of you in front of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And it actually turned out to be quite a nice little experience for the two of you. But yeah, I mean, you know very well that one of the things that we've always offered to you and to Al as well is that we're always here for you. Like, no matter where you are, no matter what time of day it is, no matter what's going on, we'll always make sure that we're there to support you. And if I reflect back to, when I think you and Al were in the US ahead of COVID, and you needed to fly out and just get home early before the country shut down. There's some really good examples where we're always just, no matter what you need, you can ring me and we'll always be there for you. And that's how I think essentially we've maintained. It's not how we've maintained our friendship, but it's really kind of that support network that we've both shared has been really, really kind of has been great.
Yeah, it's been absolutely, for my career, it's been amazing to know that someone's been there. So if something does go wrong, you can always get to your destination or get home. You're not going to get stranded, and that's the most important thing. And it helps that travel to be as stress-free as it can be. You're talking about Alistair quite a bit. One of my other ones was, how many flights do you reckon Alistair has had to change or cancel because of injury over the last of his career? I know he's very much a last minute person. He's constantly booking that and then changing it or booking. I know towards the end of his career, he was pretty much not booking flights until the last possible moment, because in case he had to cancel. So I guess, how many do you reckon he's had to change?
Have you got a number? Have you got a physical number?
No, I don't know. I'm going to say probably about 50.
I would agree with you. I think, and you're right, he definitely got, I know in the last 2 years, that mentality of like, maybe I'll just book it a week before to make sure that I can definitely go was important. But that ability for us to be able to support exactly that was really, really crucial for him, I think, as well, in terms of his journey. I would say it was probably quite a few, and I don't want to put a number on it, but I would say there's been a lot of changes over the time, for lots of different reasons, whether it was a cancellation of event or not feeling very well, or like I remember when he went down to South Africa a couple of years ago, him and Ruth went down and they were physically there, and unfortunately he wasn't very well, but they had a great, they made a holiday of it and just had a really great time with that instead. So it's just really around us being able to support as best as we can on it.
Definitely. I guess the other one is, you said that your favourite trip was probably Cozumel. So I was going to ask you what your favourite one was. But what have you got any nightmare or worst case scenario travel stories you can share with us? You don't actually have to put a name on it, but anyone that's a good laugh, obviously apart from my Sardinia one.
I think probably the one that I spent most time on was probably and it was going back to Sardinia, when you lost one or both of your bikes.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Which are two separate stories, which we can touch on in a second. In fact, we may as well just quickly talk about that Sardinia loss of bike, when you lost your Scott bike. And this isn't my worst travel experience because I didn't physically travel, but you managed to lose your bike on the way back from Sardinia. And you were going, I think the first bike you lost in Sardinia was on the way back. You were going to do some stuff with Adidas, and then you were going to do some stuff for SRAM in Germany.
Right, yeah, and lost a bike somewhere then.
And you lost a bike on the way home, and I think that was one of your Boardman bikes back in the day. And I probably spent the best part of a month and a half after that ringing every single airport, every single destination, every single airline to try and find your bike. And that one, correct me if I'm wrong, we never got back. Like, we just lost it.
That one went missing. No,
that one went missing.
The Scott one was. I had a really nice Scott custom frame that was the skyline of Rio on one side and the skyline of London on the other side, and bronze and silver, and absolutely loved it. And I was doing Super Tri in Malta, and I stayed a few days with Fee, so I missed the transfer, the chartered flight that they did to Mallorca. So I flew via Barcelona. I flew Malta, Barcelona, Mallorca. Yeah, and my bike never made it. So Jonny here again, another one. Spent hours trying to find out where that went, and it's probably in a couple. Barcelona is actually famous for bikes going missing, isn't it? And
I actually think one lost the first one through Barcelona. It was like Sardinia to Barcelona and then somewhere else. But you're right, it was definitely
probably. I didn't turn up for the race. I raced. Luckily, Alistair was out there commentating, so I raced on Alistair's bike, but needed a bit of TLC because Alistair's bike's not get battered. So anyway, and that bike, weeks went by. You're still phoning. I actually flew back through Barcelona. Went to ask to look for it. No, sorry, can't help. I accepted it was gone. And about 6 months ago, I was in Spain. I was on honeymoon in the Maldives. And I got a message from a random Spanish guy saying, "Is this your bike? Someone's selling it in Barcelona out of Madrid airport. Do you want it?" So in the end, I actually bought it back for €1,000. So I got my bike back in the end. But
pretty cheap.
Yeah, that was another shocking one that a travel experience. But yeah, so traveling in triathlon on bikes is hard.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the most time I've spent on it is trying to get your bike home.
Well, no, we're sorry about that. I guess the final section now is we'll talk about travel tips and travel myths as well. I guess. Well, first I always want to ask: is it true that when you, if you constantly Google or whatever, look up flights, the price goes up if you keep on going?
I know you and I have had this conversation more than once, and I do genuinely feel on some of the low-cost airlines, the likes of EasyJets and Ryanair's, they definitely have some cookie system that does manipulate it in some way, shape, or form. Subtly, I definitely think that there is that. But most airlines work on a loading system where they basically have a certain number of seats at a certain price, and therefore once that price bracket is sold, it then goes up to the next bracket and it goes up to the next bracket. And going back to Alistair's lastminute.com, scheduled airlines, that is unfortunately often the most expensive time to book a flight is last minute with a scheduled airline. And with scheduled airlines, the cheapest time is as far in advance as possible when they've got the most availability on the aircraft. That's often the best time to get it done. But yes, I do think there's some algorithm in there somewhere, and probably even more so now with AI. So
you are definitely better booking a flight early to get the cheapest price.
100%. Yeah, 100%. For any scheduled airline, the cheapest time to book it is in as far advance as possible, because obviously they have apexes, and especially if you are lucky enough to be able to travel in premium or business class or first class, they have even more restricted apexes. And they are, the further out you buy them, the cheaper they are. And you'll have known yourself, Jonny, if you can sometimes get a business class seat, if you book it 2 months in advance, the same kind of prices you would be paying for a premium economy seat if you're only booking it, a few weeks in advance. And so, yes, as far in advance as physically possible.
And is it true if you were to use a VPN and book a flight, say you're in Turkey to book a flight, it's actually cheaper? I've had all sorts of things that you can book flights by claiming you're in Turkey, and then it'll come up as a cheaper price.
I do think that there are, again, some algorithms there. There are some scenarios, and Alistair and I have done this a few times, for you guys flying from Spain, when you're flying from, are we calling it your holiday home? Your winter training
house in Spain, training house.
If you're traveling from there, you can sometimes get a really cheap fare to go through Heathrow. So rather than booking it from the UK, Heathrow to LA, for example, you book it from Alicante to Heathrow to LA. It is often cheaper because they have a cheaper fare in Spain that they're trying to sell to the Spanish market than they are traveling from the London market. And there's also a different departure tax from a Spanish airport than there is from a Heathrow airport when you're transiting. So there's definitely some really sneaky ways to do that. And I would say that thankfully within our team, I've worked in travel for 20 years, and our core team, we've probably got over 100 years worth of travel experience. They know a lot of the tricks of the trade, so can really support with some of those sneaky ways of managing better fares.
So they haven't got dodgy IP address attached to your building?
We don't use that tactic, but what I would say is if we are in a position where you're flying from Alicante or Turkey, we can definitely utilise that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one last question for me is, you've also got a lot of other cool events, not just obviously triathlon. Of my brother's taking part in lots of them. So what other kind of these, because now this new world's changed of everyone wants to do something different, something that's new. So what other new kind of exciting events are you guys involved with?
It's I think you're right. Your brother's on this journey at the moment of retirement / not retirement, and obviously we were just in South Africa with him and Ruth the week before last doing Gravel Burn, which was a 7-stage gravel bike racing. And I chose not to go on the trip, and I sent one of my colleagues who thoroughly enjoyed it. But we've got some really cool things like that we're doing. Is Alistair? I don't know where I'm allowed to say if Alistair is. He's not in the UK at the moment. He's doing something else at the moment. So he's doing
UK.
Is he going to Patagonia this next week, though, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. But he's here now. I think he's here for another few weeks, isn't it? Patagonia's not for a while.
So there's lots of little things like that we'll do. We're obviously involved in some of those like obstacle course racing. So we've just launched Spartan World Champs in Sparta. We've started doing some super half marathons. So I hadn't done a lot of super half marathons recently, and we were doing Valencia a few weeks ago, and Downey rang me from Valencia airport, and he's like, I've just seen a guy in an orange t-shirt with a Nirvana sign. What are you doing down here? Because he was obviously there with Alex. And I hadn't put 2 and 2 together that he was going to the same race that Alex was going to. This was the same race that we were supporting for hundreds of athletes. So we're doing a lot of different stuff, and especially within the Olympic cycle. So, we've just onboarded squash this year. That's obviously going to be in LA. Obstacle course racing as part of modern pentathlon is going to be in LA. And then we'll start talking to some of the sports that are potentially going to be in 2032. So it may be something like some of those other new sports that are going to come in. We'll have conversations with them. But there's some really cool stuff and some really exciting stuff that we love to get involved in. I would say 90%, maybe 85% of what we do is triathlon, and then the other stuff is just it's some of the stuff that's just a little bit not exciting, but it's a bit of diversity.
No, well, thank you. It's been fascinating to talk travel, and thank you for my help over the last few years, last many years, and I'm sure you've got many more travel shockers to cope with of mine to come. So thank you. Sorry for waking you up at 6 o'clock in the morning to get you to book flights to Luton or wherever. But yeah,
that's fine. You're better than your brother sometimes ringing me from LA at 2 in the morning. So
no, thank you, and I'm sure I'll see you around the world soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jonny. It was amazing to hear. And thank you. Thank you so much, Jonny, for joining us on that episode. We learned so much and we really appreciate you coming on. We are now joined by our Athlete of the Week, Matthew, who will be sharing his journey on why he joined Brownlee Fitness and his journey so far within the squad. Massive welcome to Matthew, who is our Athlete of the Week. We are so excited to have you on. Welcome, Matthew, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I didn't expect this at all, so I'm really happy about it. Very privileged.
We're very happy for you. So how did you get into multisport? Tell us about your journey.
Yeah, so in 2021, my friend at work, a good friend of mine, asked me if I wanted to come along and do a triathlon. Before that, I'd really got into running about 2018. And then he asked me in 2021, asked me if I wanted to do the sprint triathlon in Henley-on-Thames. So I just thought I'd give it a go. And yeah, I've been hooked ever since. I think the thing I just love about it is the kind of 3 different disciplines, and how swimming is obviously a skill-based sport. And then with cycling and running, it's just all about how much effort you put in and the volume. So I've kind of enjoyed it a lot more than running because of that variety. and I love the competition. I love the atmosphere about triathlon as well. It's a very positive community, and that's just something I really love. So yeah, I've been hooked ever since, and since then I've done more sprint triathlons. I've done 2 Olympic distance triathlons. I've done one 70.3 in Weymouth, and I've got another one coming up this weekend. So
Wow.
just absolutely love it.
That's amazing. And what would you say your favourite discipline is out of the 3?
I'm gonna cheat a little bit here and say it depends. So coming into triathlon was definitely running. But since then, I've got a lot of satisfaction from improving swimming, because at school I wasn't a very good swimmer. And so when I was training for my first triathlon, I couldn't swim a length of a 20-meter pool. And now I can obviously swim the half distance. So it's been really satisfying from that point of view with swimming. So that's something I really enjoy. Cycling, particularly this year, I've loved just going on long rides with my friend and going on long rides in Richmond Park in London. I've just loved it, and I can see the improvements. Having worked with Adam, the coach, he's been brilliant. He's just been really positive and really encouraging, and I've seen the improvements there. And then, like, obviously I love running, so it kind of depends on what period I'm in, and it's kind of varied over the last few years. But if I was going to be pushed on one, I'd probably still say running.
Okay.
Just about.
Love that. I love that you said it just depends as well. I think that's the beauty of the sport, that when you come into it, your favourite is always, I've heard a lot of people say it's running, but actually it now tends to be like bike or swim. So it definitely changes along as you go, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah. It's such a positive community to be in, like, in terms of like Brownlee Fitness, just having like a big community of people who are all achieving the same things, but also you're not always motivated to do all the sessions. So to kind of relate to people who maybe have had a long day at work, and then they need to do like a long bike ride or a really intense interval session on the bike, it's good to kind of share those struggles with people as well. And that's a big positive of Brownlee Fitness. You can relate to people.
Oh, I love that. Well, that brings me on really nicely to the next question, is what would you say your favourite thing is about being part of the Brownlee Fitness squad?
Definitely the community.
Yeah.
Just I've touched on really it's because it's such a unique sport. You face challenges in triathlon that you don't get in other sports. So like something like nutrition, it's such a key part of racing, just to bounce ideas off people, and the people really get it. And there's like a lot of different levels of triathletes within Brownlee Fitness as well, which I really like. So you have like people like Adam, or you have people at the top end of the age group who obviously done it for a long time, and they can provide like expertise. But you also have people maybe like myself who've been doing it for a few years, who are facing very different challenges to those top end athletes. So there's a lot of people to learn off, and there's a lot of people to relate to. So I think being part of the community is number one.
Wow, I love that. It's so important being a part of the community, and also seeing, definitely from my role, it's like love seeing the community side of it and how many athletes actually need that community element. And so it's not always, that they've got that support structure as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think everybody wants to be part of something, and being part of triathlon is fantastic. But then being part of a group like Brownlee Fitness is even better, because you're on like I'm sure there's quite a bit of crossover in terms of the sessions that you do, so you can kind of see how other people get on, and like on Strava as well, the Strava Brownlee Fitness group, you can kind of monitor other people's progress, and so I think that's a really good aspect of it.
Love that. And last question, if you have one, what would you say your most embarrassing moment in multi-sport has been so far?
I'd have on this year actually at walking sprint triathlon, so it's still pretty fresh in the memory. But I was leaving transition 2, so going from the bike to the run, and I forgot to take my helmet off, so I wasted it was an absolute shocker. So I think I wasted about 40 seconds, and then somebody shouted over and said, "You need to take your helmet off." So I had to run back and then go again. And then as I crossed the finish line, the person on the finish line gave me a shout out. So that wasn't the best. So I'd probably say that.
I think a lot of people, I'm sure, can relate. We did actually have another person say the exact same as you, so I don't think it's just you. You'll be glad to know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that kind of makes me feel a little bit better.
Good. Well, thank you so much, Matthew. Honestly, congratulations for being our Athlete of the Week, and it's been so interesting hearing your journey. And yeah, thank you again, and massive congrats.
Thank you very much, and I'm absolutely loving the podcast. So yeah,
good. We're glad.
Great work on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Matthew, for joining us on our podcast. We loved hearing your story and why you were Athlete of the Week this week. That is it, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. We hope to see you at the next episode. And if you did listen, please share us in your socials, tag us in your stories. And if you do have any questions that you'd like us to answer, do feel free and send them to us at grace@brownleefitness.com. And we will see you in the next episode.